I'm Gold Derby editor Daniel Montgomery here with Jeffrey Jur, an Emmy nominee for Outstanding Cinematography for a Single Camera Series for his work on Bridgerton. Now you're specifically nominated for the third episode of the season, Art of the Swoon, in which Simon and Daphne's relationship takes one of many turns that it takes throughout the season. And at this point, she decides to pursue Prince Friedrich. So what were you especially proud of in that episode?
Basically, there was a great variety of scenes. I chose it because it had some flashbacks. A lot of the Duke's backstory was involved in it, and it felt that it had a wide variety of looks. It captured a lot of different things, not just the beauty of the balls and the events and things that we were shooting quite a bit of, but also had a little darker backstory photography.
And the opening of the episode is especially kind of memorable. It's Daphne having a dream sequence about this dreamy outdoor ball at night with these overhead lights. It's beautifully designed from a production design standpoint as well. Like what was that scene like to shoot and sort of collaborate with the production team?
I thought it was magical. Chris Van Dusen, who created the show, his idea was to have some memories of their time together. So, and in Daphne's mind, she's remembering the scene in the first episode where those sort of light balls light up on that long pathway, things like that. And then a bit of the flare fireworks that happened when they first danced together. So there was some memory things working there, and the tree in the middle, all those stuff was part of their life up to that point. So, and their experiences. So the production designer brought in a lot of those elements. And the idea was to just put it outside in a field. So we found a place that was kind of surrounded by trees, and I felt that we could take a lot of liberties with it in terms of the look. It didn't have to feel real. It could be something very unique. So we backlit it. We had smoke. We had background extras sometimes and not other times. So they go in and out, just like in a dream. Things change all the time, and they don't always seem real. And time shifts, and things are slow and speed up. So yeah, it's meant to be this sort of romantic memory.
And visually the show, what you're photographing is itself so kind of lush. The sets, the costumes, the hair designs. What's it like bringing out? What were sort of the considerations of trying to bring out all of those details and highlight details that would sort of bring the emotion of it and the beauty of it sort of the most life?
Well, I'm just the luckiest guy in the world to be able to come to these amazing sets, these amazing locations, with these amazing costumes and wigs and makeup every day. I get to see this, and it's presented in front of me. So I'm very lucky to, to be able to photograph this kind of stuff. So it makes me happy every day to show up and see this incredibly beautiful stuff. So it was important for me to capture all the detail for sure. We're working with some pretty high resolution cameras, shooting at 6K, and the cameras are amazing at capturing all this detail. We're trying to get all the, all the textures and all the fine detail that's put into the set. I mean, when you're on those sets, the ones that were built as well as the locations, you're seeing incredible detail. You can go up very close to things and nothing looks artificial or fake. The walls are wallpaper is actually fabric, and some of the sets that they built, stuff like that. So it was important for me to have the resolution in the cameras to bring all that out and not try to diffuse it too much, not try to soften it so that it sort of disappears. And certainly there's the intent to not look at this world through any sort of veil. It's meant to be very clear-eyed, colorful without being garish, and lifted. I kept saying lifted all the time. To me, it meant that it was the opposite of dark. There's a lot of dark shows out there. There's a lot of dark emotion out there right now in the world, and this was sort of an antidote to that. That's how I felt about it. It was like a fable, almost a fairy tale.
And a lot of the locations and even the indoor sets that you're capturing are such large and kind of grand spaces, like Somerset House, which has those floor to ceiling, that artwork. How complicated is it to light and shoot such a large space?
It's challenging, but I'm working with British crews that shoot in these places all the time. It's daunting when you first see it. You're like, oh my God, this is the biggest room I've ever photographed. What are we going to do here? And, I was reassured by them that there were different ways to handle it. When you're shooting in these locations in particular, they're basically museums. You can't touch or rig or nail or screw anything in. So you have to figure out ways to bring fixtures in, lighting from the outside for day work, and how to block windows for night work during the day. Well, often you're shooting night work inside during the daytime. So they have machines that push large covers over the windows from outside. And then we worked with balloons quite a bit. So you're floating balloons with lights in them up into the ceiling. Be careful not to touch anything, and tying them off carefully to the side. So that lights up these large areas. It's like working in a football field. I mean, they're massive. But with those things in place, 90% of your light is there. Throw in candles if it's a night scene. Candles, we're lighting quite a few of our scenes by themselves. Again, working with this camera that was seeing kind of into the dark was amazing. So we were able to bring a lot of real life and things that were there at the time into the lighting. I didn't have to create something artificially.
And during scenes that take place during the day, there are sometimes these beautiful effects of just the way light pours in through often these large windows and the way they frame scenes. How did you approach those and create kind of I mean, they seem everyday on one hand, but also kind of dreamy and elegant and stylized in another way.
Well, we're shooting dreamy and elegant places and people and costumes. So that's already there. I am just bringing in light in a natural, as much natural as I can get it, because I feel that the light should come from a real place. It shouldn't be artificial. It shouldn't feel like a movie set where there's perfect backlight, and all these shots that it's staged in such a way that you take advantage of the natural light. And what I discovered, and I've seen a lot of films shot in some of these locations, you find that you have one wall, just these massive windows that are also set back very, very deeply. They had curtains and shutters and things to close out the cold when they were built 300 years ago. So they're set back very deeply. So you're pushing light from outside through those portals into the room. And what's great is you often have a lot of room outside as well to bring lifts with lamps and push big lights through those windows across this massive space. So you're not right up against the window. You're not blowing out the glass too much with a lot of heat, and you're not seeing out necessarily. You're shooting the long ways of a room or back, or sometimes towards the windows. You have to move the machines over. Anyway, you're pushing light through these windows, and it just creates this absolutely beautiful light, soft light going across a room that you don't need to add much to. We're often able to put atmosphere into the sets and the locations, and it helps fill in the room and fill in the shadows. And my dream is always to shoot like a day interior location with no lights in the room at all, just light from the windows, maybe a little bounce card to push a little light in to a face. So simpler is always better for me.
There are also some, lovely outdoor night scenes, like the dream sequence that I mentioned before. But also, like in this episode in particular, there's a lovely conversation between Benedict and Eloise where they're just, discussing, Lady Whistledown, and it's a night scene, but there's also like a softness about it that you could feel that sibling bond between them in that, just visually. What are the
sharing a cigarette.
Yeah. What are the challenges of sort of, capturing night scenes the way, you want them?
Well, the trick is always that where does the light come from? Well, you say moonlight, but of course there isn't moonlight under a tree or on the ground. So it's more the feel of night than actual moonlit light coming from one direction. So you have to capture the feel of it. So I found a color that I liked in particular. We work often with LED lights, which gives you a wide range of colors that you can sort of dial through. And I found a color that I thought was perfect for night work. It's actually called virgin blue, uh, and which seemed appropriate for the show as well. And it had a little bit of magenta in it and a little bit of purple. It was just gorgeous. Touch of green, cyan, and a lot of blue. And it was just different than any night work that I had shot before. So it was a little heightened, it was a little past where you would think it was normal or real. But the whole show is kind of like that. I felt that we could take some liberties on color. So I like to give every project I work on kind of a signature color. And that to me felt like that was the color for Bridgerton. So the trick with night work is to keep it soft and keep it natural and have the feel of moonlight rather than, just that it's actual light coming from the moon. So you have to manipulate and shape the light a little bit. It was important that cigarette glow, and the cigarette is pretty much a fixed color, so and illumination. So everything was balanced around that so that you would see that sort of glow. In fact, in the script, it says she's in the dark and all you see is the glow of the cigarette. Of course, we needed to see a little more than that, but it was important that thing be bright and very present.
Now, the climactic scene of this particular episode is this ball where Daphne is making this grand entrance where she's trying to impress Prince Friedrich, and she's impressing everyone else in the room. What was it like capturing that scene from so many different angles where we're seeing reactions to her, capturing her entrance and all that?
Well, we knew that it was going to be an extended moment, that when she arrives and looks out and everybody looks up and she comes down the stairs, that was going to be drawn out. So we actually shot all of it in slow motion. Sometimes you can go back and forth between normal speed and slow motion in post-production. So basically we shot the whole thing slow motion so that all those moments were slowed down. And it was a beautiful sort of event, and her arrival and their reactions, all that stuff needed to be slowed down. So that's something Tom Varick, and the director, and I worked out. We knew we wanted to slow everything down and that we wanted a lot of reactions, a lot of shots. So, they call it the ton, the society is always reacting to things that are happening in the story. So it was important to get a lot of those reactions. So we had 3 cameras, I think, on those days that we were there. To make sure that we were covering all those little moments between characters and how they reacted to what was happening. But it was a fairly contained space. It wasn't a big space, but it was absolutely beautiful. Flowers hanging down, and the floor was amazing, and the dance in the middle. It was different than a lot of our other spaces. This was a location where we had 3 different balls working over a couple of days. So that was one. And if you went through the doors of that one, you'd see the one from another scene in a different part of the episode. And then if you go through those doors, there'd be a 3rd ball next to that one. So it was amazing. They had created this whole sort of backlot basically at this location, all these different balls dressed differently.
Now, yeah, you're nominated for an Emmy now. You've won a couple of Emmys in the past. And in addition to that, you, a couple of years ago, the American Society of Cinematographers gave you a Television Career Achievement Award. What was that particular recognition like, just for your body of work up to this point?
I was stunned. It's a little scary. It's a little daunting to get something like that. They don't call it a lifetime achievement, which is really generous and great, because you feel like maybe it's over and it's time to hit the road and pack it in. So they call it a career achievement, which I really appreciate it. And it was important to the ASC that they have people getting this award who are still active and still working. So they addressed that concern for me. I didn't want to sent out a message that it was that I was done. And so I'm really happy that this has happened with Bridgerton, because I'm still here and I'm still working and I'm still hopefully relevant and active. But that award was unbelievable. I mean, I've been doing this since high school, I guess you could say, professionally in Hollywood for almost 30 years. And I feel like I'm just still learning. I'm still finding new ways to work and to be, and to stay relevant. So it was amazing. And my goal for the award when I spoke was to basically thank all those people that made a difference and that gave me a break. We all have this. There's a lot of people that say no, but the people that say yes to you, that reach across a gulf of, maybe they don't know you, or you're inexperienced, or, they're taking a chance on you in some way. We all need that person in our career. And I had many throughout, and many of them were sitting at my table, which was great. So I was able to thank them personally when I spoke, and tell them and the public and everybody that was there what that meant to me. So that was great. I loved being able to, to basically be grateful to these people that made a difference in my life.
Well, want to congratulate you on your work on Bridgerton, on your career to this point, and your career achievements yet to come. And thank you so much for talking with me about your work today.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Appreciate it.